Good evening, citizens of Portsmouth, and welcome to the Portsmouth City Council meeting. Thank you all for being here, and I want to welcome everyone on this day, today, June the 14th, Flag Day. Council members, please stand, and citizens, please stand for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Present.
Mr. Battle? Here. Mrs. Lucasberg? Here. Mr. Moody?
Here.
Dr. Whitaker?
Present.
Mr. Woodard?
Here.
Mayor Glover?
Here. Members of council, we have for our consideration the minutes of a call meeting on May the 24th, 2022, and a regular meeting on May the 24th, 2022. A special call meeting on May 31st, 2022, and a special meeting on May 31st, 2022. Is there any discussion of the minutes? If not, seeing none, then Madam Clerk, we need a motion and a second.
Move adoption.
Second.
And Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucasberg?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. Madam Clerk, would you please read the speaker's statement for tonight?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the City Council as a body rather than to any particular member of City Council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Now, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce you, the citizens of Portsmouth and the Portsmouth family, to our newest member of the team, City Attorney, Mrs. LaVonda Graham Williams. Ma'am, was there anything you would wish to say to the citizens of Portsmouth?
Let's get ready to work.
And the last thing I'll say about our newest team member, she is the first woman in the history of Portsmouth to hold that position. I think that's worthy of it. We've now come to the agenda item, public hearings, item 22-173, UP-22-07. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the agenda item and resolution that we are considering pertaining to this item?
Yes, sir. Resolution granting the request of Dominique Neely for a use permit for a banquet hall at 5760 Churchland Boulevard. The property is zoned general mixed use. The Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan's future land use map recommends commercial development for the property. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions, and the resolution reads, a resolution granting a use permit, UP 2207, to Dominique Neely to operate an event space banquet hall at 5760 Churchland Boulevard.
Thank you, ma'am. The applicant, is the applicant present? If you could please state your name and address when you come forward, ma'am? And bring the microphone close to you, yes, so you can
you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
How's everyone doing?
Welcome. And you have 10 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, my name, 10 minutes?
Yes, you don't need to take the whole 10 minutes.
I don't want to.
You really don't, but we allot 10 minutes because this is a public hearing.
Okay.
And many times you have more information to present, so we allot 10 minutes, but you do not have to take 10 minutes.
Perfect. All right, my name is Jackie Scott. I am the event coordinator and an office administrator for the Black Room. We're located at 5760 Churchland Boulevard, Portsmouth, Virginia, 23703. Our telephone number, our operating telephone number is 757-377-6315. A little nervous.
Take your time.
We come to you requesting a use permit for our event hall, our function hall. We like to hold family functions, things like baby showers, gender reveals, weddings, things of that nature. We are not requesting an alcohol permit. However, functions that are held there, they can apply for an alcohol ABC license. Let's see, we're open for 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we are operated by 2 staff members, myself and Dominique Neely. There are 10 tables, 100 chairs, a kitchenette, and surround sound included. The fee for the event hall is $200 an hour with a 4-hour minimum. We do have venue rules that are listed on our contract, but our main rule that we'd like to highlight is we will not be hosting teenage parties or rowdy parties. We have 3,600 square feet available for use with 621 parking spaces that we have access to. Our venue hosts 300 people, 169 seated, 300 standing. We want to provide a clean, safe environment for people to come that's aesthetically pleasing. We like to highlight just, something that's positive for our wonderful city. Bring back positivity, despite what we see going on in the media right now. We do have good things about this city that we want to have a place where people can come and enjoy themselves and feel safe. And we feel that that is what we're providing. We'd like to welcome you to come take a look because it is beautiful. And if you'd like to rent it, we are available when you guys grant us the use permit. So in conclusion, we just really hope that this is something that you guys can see as a positive revenue, a venue that will produce revenue for our city and just help make it better in every aspect. Do you have questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Neely. We're definitely going to get to that. To my colleagues on council, are there any questions for Ms. Neely? Seeing none, I have a question.
Sure.
So you said your hours are from 8
a.m. to
a.m. to 12 p.m. To 12 a.m.
Yes.
in the morning.
Yes.
So I do have some concern about, is there going to be security at any stages of the day there?
So we do require security for all events that will come with a liquor license, with an ABC license. And we will require security for any event after 6 p.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Woodard, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you. I appreciate your business as well. Is there any other business that's similar to that near your business, an event hall?
I'm not aware.
Not in the same shopping center?
Oh, not in the same shopping center, no.
Okay.
Councilwoman Lucas Burke, ma'am, you have the floor.
Great, thank you, Ms. Jackie. People are always looking for venue spaces to rent and to host events. I see here that the Planning Commission recommends the approval with some conditions. Did you have any problems or any concerns meeting the conditions?
No,
that-
they were quite simple. They required security, and we aren't able to use the outside for any use as far as gathering. We will be using it to allow people to smoke because we have a non-smoking venue.
Right,
And it was very simple conditions.
okay. And you said you had 2 staff, yourself and Mr.
Dominique.
Dominique. Is that enough for the 8 to 12-hour time frame, or will you hire additional staff when someone has an event?
As we feel the need, we will expand our staff. For right now, this is best for us, how we need to operate right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that ends the questions from my colleagues on council. Oh, Councilman Woodard, do you have another question, sir? You have the floor.
No, Mayor. No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, you don't have any questions, sir?
No.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, you may take your seat.
Thank you.
Once again, this is a public hearing, and you do not have to have signed up in order to come speak on this public hearing item. If you do come to speak on this item specifically, it must deal with the specific public hearing item that was read. So you have 5 minutes. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to come and speak on this item, please come forward, state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, then this public hearing is closed. And Madam Clerk, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for approval?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
I'd like to acknowledge to the crowd and to all citizens watching, this young man is my grandson. His mother is my daughter. Neither of them live with me. They have their own independent homes, and they're adults. And let me say that I'm proud as an American, to say yes and to grant them this use permit.
Thank you, sir.
Mrs. Lucasberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. Thank you. We have now come to item B, UP 22-08. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution we are considering pertaining to this item?
Yes, sir. Resolution granting the request of Brian Johnson for a use permit for an event space banquet hall at approximately .318 acres of land located at 2115 High Street in the neighborhood mixed-use zoning district. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property as a mixed-use corridor. The property is owned by Boutique Blessings Daycare, LLC, and the Planning Commission recommends approval. A resolution granting a use permit, UP 2208, to Brian K. Johnson to operate an event space banquet hall at 2115 High Street.
Thank you, ma'am. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Would you please come forward and state your name and address, sir? And you will have you will have 10 minutes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Brian Johnson. I'm here for 2115 High Street. We're requesting a use permit for event space banquet hall. It's about 3,500 square feet in space. We have about 40 parking spaces, 32 to be exact, I'm sorry. We have three bathrooms. We're really just trying to do more so like birthday parties, celebrations, rentals and stuff like that. We do have offices in the building that also do media content creation as far as podcasts, We shoot movies and videos as well as music production. Not only do we do sessions, but we also train youth how to run the equipment as well. You know what I mean? So try to play our part in trying to, clean up the neighborhood, get the young people some more tools to work with and things of that nature. But those in the offices, the open space is about 1,800 square feet that we'll be using for the actual event space. And hopefully y'all bless me and give me a good, give me y'all blessing, and I can guarantee y'all I'm gonna bring some good revenue to the city. I promise you that.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from our colleagues on council? Councilman Woodard, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How you doing, Mr. Bryan?
Doing great.
Would there be any alterations to the building? I see you got a lot of office spaces there.
Yes, sir. A lot of the walls have been contracted. We've been knocking down walls and everything like that. So it's more open space than it is offices at this point. Yes, sir.
Right, okay. And, I'm skillful at that media work now, so,
yeah?
you might got to invite me over there so I can go ahead
Come on in.
and, teach the kids as well what
Yes,
to
sir.
do with those cameras and the editing equipment and everything. So,
Yes, sir. Come on
I'd
in.
like to be a part of that.
Come on in. You're welcome.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right.
Are there any other questions from our colleagues on council? Seeing none, sir, you may be seated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. You're not required to sign up in order to come forward and speak on this matter at this public hearing. If you choose to come up and speak, you will have 5 minutes, and we would recommend that you provide your name and address. Once again, this is a public hearing. Seeing none, then this public hearing is closed. Madam Clerk, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. We've now come to item C, Z-22-01. And Madam Clerk, it is my understanding that the applicant has withdrawn this particular application?
Yes, sir.
Members of council, is there any discussion on this matter? We're in need of a motion and a second to accept the withdrawal.
Move adoption.
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. We have now come to the agenda item unfinished business, item 22-157. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution that we are considering pertaining to this item?
Yes, sir. A resolution to acquire 320 Quebec Street.
Thank you, ma'am. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker, you have the floor, sir.
The report back that was received was from the city manager, interim city manager, and the question that was presented was actually presented to the city assessor. And that information that was requested was not included in the report back. The report back was, the question was concerning the valuation of the property there in Sugar Hill, that being a historical African-American community. The concern was how those properties were acquired by the city. It was noted that they were acquired through several entities, PPIC, PRHA. However, it does not indicate how it was required and under what conditions. It does mention a tax sale. And my concern is what caused that tax sale to come into being. And that's what I thought that the city assessor would report back to us, because those properties were identified as being an area for redevelopment. and actually commercial industrial development. That is concerning in that how those land values were assessed back then in the 60s, 70s for those properties to be acquired. That report back doesn't address that. And my concern is that those residents of Sugar Hill, when those properties were taxed to the extent that there had to be a tax sale, was that done in an equitable way? And so I would suggest to my colleagues that until we get that information from the city assessor, that we would just hold back on moving on this property. I don't think it puts it in any jeopardy or anything with it at its present status, but I do believe that that equity issue needs to be addressed. That community, like so many other communities around this country, where properties, and particularly the time period you're looking at, the 60s, 70s, when these values are changing, and when those properties were increased, I think that we need to make sure that that wasn't one of those conditions, particularly since it was targeted for development. And then all of a sudden, it was decided we can't develop it. And I know historically, when African-American communities were targeted for development, that typically those properties were undervalued, overtaxed. And so I would hope my colleagues, if we could allow the city assessor, and it's not a rush on the information, allow the city assessor to do the research on the land values that created the tax for those properties, which caused the tax sale value. If that could be researched and brought back to us, that would address the issue that I'm raising.
Thank you, sir. With that request, and I would agree, I think that is appropriate to have the information from the city assessor's office. Do we need to, and this is a point of order in moving forward, do we need another deferral to address that information? What would be the recommendation?
Council members, it would be better if the maker and the second of the motion, which was Mrs. Lucasberg and Mr. Moody, could make a motion to change their motion from approval to deferral and just tell us what date to defer it to.
Very good, ma'am. That is what I was believing. So,
Can I ask a question? The city assessor, I don't know the time period that is needed to gather, because those are some old land records. And so I don't know if saying deferring it to the next meeting gives the topper time. So should we do that broadly at deferred until brought back to the agenda?
Well, unfortunately, we need to have a date certain to ensure that we keep up with it and it's actually brought back.
Okay.
So if you wanted to defer it for 30 or 60 days, that would be the will of city council.
Okay. Can we ask this at 60 days?
I would think that Mr. Assessor, could you come forward, please? And I think the question, perhaps, I'm not going to speak for you, sir, but the question that you're asking is the appropriate time for Mr. Doris and his office to investigate and bring back the information. Is 60 days an adequate amount of time, sir?
I'll make it work.
Well, we want it to be efficient, but we also want it to be very complete and comprehensive. So
Yes, sir.
do you need a little bit more
I
time, sir?
actually would need more time for that.
Yeah, okay.
I might have to go to the state to get archive record for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir. You have the floor.
So those would be some pretty old land records that you would need to gather.
Correct. I'm here in 60s, 70s. My thought is to look at them on a 5-year scale, 65, 70, 75, 80, and track them in comparison to surrounding neighborhoods. So it might take a while.
So other jurisdictions have those records under microfiche or?
They do,
other-
yes, sir.
So Portsmouth does not have that?
Not apparently going back that far readily available.
Okay, so that raises another issue as far as us putting that data in a usable form, so that we could have it more readily accessible. So,
Right.
but the present issue, the 60 days, if we could get an interim report during
Absolutely.
the time.
I have something very brief right now. It just talked about what the property is. It does touch base on how how the properties were acquired by the city, what type of instrument, whether it was a commissioner's sale, AKA tax sale, if you will, a deed of bargain and sale. 11 of them are unknown, just can't figure out how the city acquired them.
You have the floor, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I would request if you could send us that in a report document, and
Okay.
then we can read over it, and then.
I have it in a
we-
PowerPoint, I can send it. And it's,
Yeah.
like I said, just a brief overview.
Right, and then we can ask questions from there.
Yes,
And
sir.
in the meantime, still wait for the 60-day report period.
Okay.
So with clarification, I believe the time frame for the initial report, which would be included in the motion, would be 60 days.
Right.
So if the originator of the motion would go ahead and make that motion, and then we get it seconded?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I withdraw my motion to approve this item, and I move that we defer this item to our first meeting in August, which would be 60 days,
And that would be August the 9th.
August 9th.
Do we have a second? With Mr. Moody?
Councilman Moody.
Do you have a second?
Yes, I'll second the motion.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. We have now come to item on the agenda, excuse me, City Manager's Report, item 22-174. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance that we are considering pertaining to this item?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting Promoting Safe and Stable Families covert funding in the amount of $13,148 from the Virginia Department of Social Services and appropriating said amount in the FY 2023 Social Services Fund to assist eligible families.
Thank you, ma'am. We are in need of a motion and a second.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this matter? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. Item 22-175. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance we are considering pertaining to this item.
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting with appreciation a donation in the amount of $100 from Janet Blakowski, attorney at law, and appropriating said funds to the FY 2023 Social Services Fund for use by the Department of Social Services to support National Child Abuse Awareness Month activities.
Thank you, ma'am. We're in need of a motion and a second.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. We've now come to new business. Item 22-176, Boards and Commissions. Vice Mayor Barnes, Dr. Whitaker. Are there
Yeah.
any appointments to bring forward for consideration?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We received an appointment list from the clerk that we need to make the following appointments for the interim city manager and the city attorney. Appointments for Mimi Terry, interim city manager, Hampton Roads Regional Jail Authority, Community Policy and Management Team, Transportation District Commission of Hampton Roads as an alternate, Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, and Newport Development Authority. For our city attorney, LaVonda Graham Williams, the Law Library Board, and Southeastern Public Service Authority ex officio.
Thank you, sir. And Madam Clerk? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
Yes. We have now come to item 22-176, 2024-177, item submitted by council. Dr. Whitaker, sir, you have the floor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda.
Yes, sir. And in order to add an item to the agenda, we have to have a minimum consensus of 4 council members. And what is the item you wish to add to the agenda, sir?
I'd like to add to the agenda the appointment of Tanya Chapman as the city manager.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion to add an agenda item to make an appointment, and that motion to add the agenda item, do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second to add an agenda item to the meeting, and would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucasberg?
No.
Mr. Moody?
No.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
No. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to take all of us as a Portsmouth family to get through tonight. So here's what I encourage us to do. We have a speaker statement that we've asked everybody to adhere to. Now, as the mayor, it is my responsibility to keep order and control of our meeting. I fully intend to do that. And that applies to everyone in the chamber, on the dais included. We cannot have any random outburst, any disrespectful words, any profanity. If you participate in those kinds of things and try to bring them forward, you will be called out of order, and if you do not stop your behavior, we're going to have you removed from the meeting. And that's the way it is. So we have a motion on the floor. We've already taken care of that. It is to hire or appoint a city manager. We have reached the point of that discussion where there's council discussion, and we can have that discussion. Sir, you have the floor.
No, the clerk is trying to get you.
Madam Clerk.
Sir, you've taken care of adding it to the agenda.
Right.
Now we need to have the actual motion.
Correct. That's where I was going. Thank you.
Okay.
We do need to add the motion. I mean, we need to have the motion, and then we open it up for discussion. So, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you. I move that the Portsmouth City Council appoint Tanya Chapman as city manager with a start date of June 22nd, 2022, at a beginning salary of $200,000, and that her contract details be negotiated by the Personnel Committee and City Attorney on the behalf of the Portsmouth City Council.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a second? Second. Okay. Now we are open for discussion. Now, I will take up personal mayoral privilege here. First of all, there are a few fundamental things that my colleagues haven't really understood from the last time. As the elected mayor of the city of Portsmouth, I'm just going to give y'all a little education. The mayor should and absolutely be involved in any negotiations of hiring anyone to lead our city. But no, please don't make any applause. I need you to listen, because this is critically important. What we have here is a usurpation of the rule of authority. And I can use usurpation because I know what it means. It means to override. What you have here, when my colleague says the Personnel Committee will sign off on the contract, the Personnel Committee consists of Vice Mayor Barnes and Dr. Whitaker. These two negotiated the whole time and did not inform us three, this councilwoman and this councilman and myself, of the process. Now, I'm all for working together, but if we are not going to do it as a team, it is not valid. But here's the other thing. As I shared with my colleagues, and I don't mind being open and transparent, because you know what? You elected me to do just that. When we had our discussions, and I said to them, we have a capable interim city manager, and Mimi Terry right there. She has been through the storm. She knows the city. She knows the finances. She is absolutely capable of filling in and being our city manager. But my fundamental problem with this is, one, we have a candidate who was not discussed by the whole council, who was fired, released by the city of Portsmouth. And we are still in an influx after firing a city manager who was doing very well for our city. But we are still in a state of shock. And to bring about someone as a candidate without discussing it with the entire council, knowing the history and knowing that irreparable harm could be done. And then the question is brought up, well, we need to deal with crime. Well, folks, we're dealing with crime. I can tell you, and we're dealing with it the best way we know how. And we're bringing in the state police, and we're bringing in other resources. We've got nonprofit organizations putting in the work, working in our communities to make our communities safer. But we need everybody on board with that, not just some people. But I want to just share one other observation, because I'm that kind of guy. When we let go of our last city manager, when we had an evaluation, at no time, remember, she was let go without cause. At no time during the discussion, if there were deficiencies, you all have worked jobs, if there was a deficiency that the four on council felt was worth firing her for, there was never a corrective action put in place. If you are going to fire me unless I have gross negligence or with cause, then you need to at least give me an opportunity as an employee to remedy what deficiencies I may have. I brought this up to my colleagues. Obviously, they had a different agenda. And let's just call it what it is. But to suggest that they would not even entertain giving her, everybody is allotted an opportunity to do a second chance. Many of us up here have had second chances. Are you going to tell me, and I'm not that smart, y'all, but are you going to tell me that they're willing to mistreat this lady who moved here, moved her house here, worked day and night to make our city better with the city leadership team, that you are not even going to give her the benefit of the doubt? That you call her to your church and tell her that you either resign or I'm going to fire you? Wow. And by the way, we won't talk disparagingly about you in the public if you go ahead and resign. We'll make sure it's a nice deal for you. See, I'm not scared of anybody up here on this dais. Listen to me now. My books are clean. My business is clean. I ain't scared. What we have to understand as leaders in this city, you have elected us to work collaboratively together, to bring in people that will do this ethically, morally, and in the proper order. And I'm sorry for taking y'all time going through this. This was not something that I endeavored to do. But I want to be clear with you all in the city of Portsmouth, with my Portsmouth family. I will never accept the behavior that is being demonstrated up here. And I will not support anyone. I will not support these guys trying to usurp my authority as the mayor, the elected leader of the city. And they like to say, well, you just elected just like all of us. Well, you know what? I just left the United States Mayor's Conference. Only the mayors get invited. So that makes me a little bit different. And I don't think I'm special. But I got to say what my heart calls me on to say. I watched a woman get mistreated up here. And let me just be clear with y'all, because I just got to say this. And I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. There was a time in our history, we're going to be celebrating Juneteenth this week. There was a time in our history, and this ain't about black and white, so don't charge me with racism here against somebody. But there was a time in our history as African Americans where we could not protect our women, that anything and everything could be heaped upon them and in any way without reservation. 2 weeks ago, you saw a majority African American council of men disrespect, disregard the humanity of a black woman. And I would not accept that with any woman. But I want to be clear, whatever happens, these four have already made up their mind and they're compelled to do, but I will tell you, this will not stand. And you, the citizens of the city of Portsmouth, have the final word. And I think your word should be emphatic and it should be very deliberate, but it should send a message that never again will we accept leadership does not support the right values, the right thing to do for the citizens of Portsmouth. Thank you, and God help Portsmouth. Councilwoman Lucas-Burke, ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, for those very strong words. I think they resonated with the hearts of many of the people here in this room. But I believe that we have some council members who might believe that they might be magicians or pimps because they keep trying to pull tricks out their sleeve. But I'm not amused and I'm not entertained by the circus act that has been put forth. I don't know what the sense of urgency is. I mean, Mimi Terry has been appointed only 14 days, and now we're trying to remove her and put somebody else in. I don't know what the sense of urgency is. But for me, I will not move forward with any vote until the process is open to the public. It is not discriminatory if any other person who is qualified who wishes to apply for this position that is opened up to the public and opened up in a search. I will not move forward with that until that process is done or until this council changes in January, period. That's my stand on it. I don't know where we go from here with the decision, but I think you already know by the numbers of the votes that we have, but I refuse to be used in this manner, and I hope that you are paying attention.
Councilman Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. At our last meeting, the same motion was made by the same member of council, and as I recall, it was defeated. I hope tonight the same result occurs, although I've got a feeling that it will not. You know, what we have here is a coup. And I say that because 4 members of council are trying to do the actions that should be given to 7 members of council. I've sat here and watched our mayor get disparaged. If you don't believe me, go to YouTube. It'll play forever, and it won't change. He's been treated and disrespected as the mayor of this city. He earned that right, and he was given that opportunity by you folks and by the citizens of this city. And when we were elected, the expectation is that we'll present ourselves as professionals, that will make reasonable decisions, and the decision that's getting ready to be made tonight is not reasonable, and it's unjustified, because the candidate that's, I guess, getting ready to become the city manager has no experience in a leadership position in municipal government, none whatsoever. And as the mayor said, in addition to that, she was terminated. And I've sat here and watched a very capable city manager be treated unjustly and disparaged and fired without cause. But tonight, I also saw that our interim city manager, there was a motion to appoint her as interim. Then you're going to turn around and her tenure as interim will probably be the shortest of any interim city manager in the nation. It'll be measured by minutes. And that's not good governance, what you're seeing from 4 members of this council. It is not. Obviously, I'm going to vote against it, but this won't be forgotten. And in January, a new council will take place, and they can deal with the question at that time as well. So, yes, Mayor, I'm voting against it, and I would invite the other 4 colleagues to do the same.
Vice Mayor Barnes, you have the floor, sir.
I first want to start by saying the mayor spoke about second chances. And one of the things when it comes to second chances, we have to be open to those, just like you said. Also, when it comes to the candidate that's at hand, we have to make sure that we understand that Councilman Bill Moody and Councilwoman Lisa Lucas Burke voted for that candidate when we did the process.
Sir, don't, you can't be speaking untruths. That's not true.
That's not,
No, it's not true.
It is true.
And I'm not going to allow, sir.
No,
Sir, you are out of order, sir. You are out of order. You are out of order, sir. You are out of order. You are out of order. It's not true, and I'm going to tell you it's not true. I was there. You are out of order, and if you persist to be out of order, I will have you removed from the chamber.
Let me say something.
Did you have something to say, sir?
So the other thing to go with, when we had a meeting to discuss the city manager position, we discussed everything that is being talked about in the meeting right now in a closed meeting. There was nothing disclosed that was talked about before that you guys didn't know about. You guys participated in the process in the closed meeting because you also brought a candidate up, and then there was another candidate brought up at the same time. So we all had the discussion at the same time. It wasn't a discussion that was had privately or without everybody being included.
Councilman Moody, you have the floor, sir.
I want to set the record straight. You know, we hired a recruiting firm, and we had a process. Unlike what's being done tonight, there was a hiring process. And the candidate that they getting ready to hire tonight, she didn't make the cut, so there was no vote. And what you heard is not the truth. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Whitaker, sir, you have the floor.
I think that if we're going to raise the issues, that we need to make sure we present them in the proper light.
Yes, sir, we do.
As far as there being a usurping of authority, in order for there to be a usurping of authority, that authority had to be there. The authority that the mayor has is clear, and you can find it in the city charter. And nowhere in the city charter does it show any type of authority other than presiding over meetings, accepting notice for legal service, and being the ceremonial leader of the city. Those are the charter duties that the charter prescribes. So there's nowhere in the charter that makes the mayor the leader of the city. Although the charter does make the city manager the CEO and chief executive. And so I want to make that clear with the usurping, that there was no authority to usurp. And as far as Tanya Chapman, and what she brings to this moment, I think that all of our council can agree, and I believe that's what Vice Mayor Barnes may have been alluding to. It wasn't a vote that took place, but there was amongst this council candidates that were presented, and she was one of them that all of us agreed to be interviewed. Not a vote, but agreed to be interviewed. And so I just want to make that clear, that that was part of the previous process. In addition, I thought that Ms. Chapman would be and is a unifying force for us because of the fact that one of our previous councilwoman and present councilwoman expressed interest in Ms. Chapman being the city manager and had spoken with her and had stated she looks forward to her being the city manager. And so I'm confused at this point why it is that all of a sudden she no longer should be considered by her as the city manager. And I'm just saying that I believe she will be a unifying force for this city. She was loved and well respected by the community, and I think that she has a lot to offer for our city.
And thank you, sir. And if I could, because I was brought up about what the mayor's responsibilities are, I'm very well versed with the charter and with the rules of council. One of the things that the good doctor did say, Dr. Whitaker, he did mention about the responsibility of the mayor. In it, he put services, that I'm responsible for the services that are rendered, and that's why the mayor has to sign on documents. Okay, hold on. Sir, you're out of order.
Okay.
You're out of order. Okay, I have the floor.
No problem.
The mayor has the floor.
No problem.
So one of the things he failed to mention, because he likes to interpret other things for other people, but he will not interpret for me tonight. I am very well versed on the language, sir. When it says services, when we go out to hire a city manager, okay, as appointed, those are services. It doesn't say specifically what those services are. Would that be correct, sir?
Are you out?
I'm asking you a
me to
question.
come to the floor?
Yeah, because you had, no, not right now.
Okay.
But to my point, he said it's services, right? So he talks about services. Well, here's how it used to work. Here's how it used to work, and it worked very well. Those services, the mayor usually and the other council members are involved in that process. The fact of the matter is, by disinvolving us, not involving us, he did not even give us the opportunity to comment on those services. So therefore, it's really not a valid point, and I don't want to split hairs with folks up here. I'm not going back on the use of words and whatever. The reality is, we were not included in a process that should include everyone. The reality is, there was not a formal process in place. The reality is, they want to hire someone who was not vetted properly to be hired from this process. That is the truth of the matter. We don't have to play on words. And, you know, this whole thing about, and I'm going to be very transparent with you all. Some of my colleagues, I don't know what it is with them. They just don't like me. And I don't know why that is. Maybe you need to ask them. I know this isn't a personality thing, but at the same time, let me ask you just a general question. I don't need a response, but think about this for a moment. I've been mayor for 16 months. And I'm going to be real with y'all. I have never experienced a group that is more averse to working together. And I'll give you an example. When we came together as a council, we said we need to have a retreat. Most groups do that. When you bring in a new group, you want to get together, set the vision, you know, set the mission. This group was adamant. We're not going to do that because we're going to run things. And that's the wrong way to start, you guys. You know, I respect Dr. Whitaker for whatever he brings to the table, his skills. I respect the rest of my colleagues on this council. But what I will not accept The disrespect on a consistent basis. Listen to me, I have been cussed out, called out of the name that my mother gave me. And do you know what? Many of these guys on this dais said nothing. They said nothing to correct the behavior. And all I'm saying to y'all is, that's not right. It's not right when you have people that come up here and try to take over and do the wrong thing and think that's okay. And most of the times they do it behind closed doors so they think it's okay. But I tried with everything that's in me to respect everybody up here. We don't always agree, and I have my own ways about things. But I'm sharing this with y'all because what is going to occur here tonight is just wrong. There's not right in it. And my mother used to tell me that two wrongs can't never make it right. When you have a chance to do the right thing, Dr. King said the opportunity is always right to do right. This is the moment, y'all. This is the moment. And whatever happens, we're going to get through it. But don't sit up here lying and being deceitful and trying to use words and twist stuff to make our citizens think that they're not smart enough to understand. That's all I'm saying. Let's be real and let's be fair about the process. It will go forward however it goes forward. But you know what? You, each and every one of you, when you look in the mirror, you know what good leadership looks like. You know what respect looks like. I've had council members tell me on this dais, and y'all have witnessed it, and I've tried my best. When I said something to them and said, you out of order, this one and that one have both told me, you out of order. And all I'm saying is, you know, if you wanted to run for mayor, why didn't you run for mayor? If you wanted to be in this chair, why didn't you run for this chair? And I know I took up too much of y'all time, but it's going to be what it's going to be. I just wanted to share my thoughts. Councilwoman Lucas Burke.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. I just need to set the record straight because I don't want anyone in this room to think that I led a mistruth by saying that I wanted Tanya Chapman to serve as our city manager. When we were going through the process, we had some other candidates who were thrown out, and we opened the process back up. Now, our search firm gave us the advice. We hired them, paid them good money to advise us through that process. And they gave us a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3 level of where those candidates fail. And they advised us to not accept anyone in the levels below a tier 1. And once we had that information, we made our decision from that. That was 15 months ago where we looked at these candidates who were on the table. And when we came up with the Magician Act to pull some other crap out the sleeve, I wanted any candidate but the ones that were presented to me. And at the time, Tanya Chapman looked a whole lot better than some of the other applicants who were presented to me. But we have since hired a city manager. She's been in the position for 12 months and has done a great job of getting us back on track. And for us to now to go through another whole process. And to me, again, we run back to what's the sense of urgency? Anybody who wants to do this quickly, I'm shady about it. I mean, I just don't trust that if you're trying to do that quickly. 2 weeks and we already trying to put somebody in there, I don't trust, the decision that's being made. So 15 months ago, maybe I had said that, but now I want to go through a process where we put people on the table, open the process back up, allow candidates to apply, and for us to go through the process again. So I defended myself on why I thought before, but now my decision is no.
And one other thing I want to say to Dr. Whitaker, because I want to let him know I respect his decision and his position. But Dr. Whitaker, I want to say this to you. You said just a moment ago you were confused about the position now. But one thing that is apparent to me, you were not confused when you invited Angel Jones to your church. You were not confused when you threatened her with either you resign or you get fired. You were not confused when you shared with her, we don't want any drama, but we're going to make sure that you land okay. We're not going to talk disparaging about you, but we want you to go, and I've got 4 votes to fire you. You weren't confused about that, sir. But it's obvious to me now you come up with confusion. How do you get there? See, you were not confused when you talked to these people about what you were going to do. You weren't confused when you reached out to Tanya Chapman with an offer, a job offer. You weren't confused, sir. When you did not, you specifically decided that you would not call me back when I texted you and I called you and I said, Dr. Whitaker, call me back. You weren't confused about that, sir. And you're a very intelligent man. And it's hard for me to believe how now you will say to me you confused, but when you put these things in motion, because you started the ball to rolling, you called her to your church, there was no confusion. Would you please completely help me understand how you could not have been confused in that instance, but now you're confused, sir? Can you help me understand that? Absolutely, you have the floor.
I'm not going to address your question because your question about the confusion, I was speaking to Councilwoman Lisa Lucas-Burke about the confusion on her vote. It wasn't anything about you. But the last issue as we move forward to the vote is that, Mayor, in regards to what I was speaking to you about service, I was not speaking service in general. I was speaking about how service is defined in the charter, and that is legal service, that you receive legal service. That's what I was speaking to. So I'm going to ask for a call to the question.
Thank you, sir. Madam City Attorney, could you address the concern, please?
There's no concern.
Sir, I wanted to address a concern. You may not have someone, but hold on, please.
no.
I may have a question I wanted to, so just hold on.
Thank you, Mayor. As the councilman has issued a motion of privilege, he's asked for a call of the question, which concludes the debate. It now requires a vote and to move forward.
That is correct. Thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood what that was. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
No.
Mr. Moody?
No.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
No. We will now move to the next item on the agenda, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, before we move to the next item, we're still at item submitted by council. Can you get order, please?
Sir, I do not need you to tell me to get order. I have the gavel.
I didn't tell you, I asked you.
You are out of order. Please have him removed from my chamber. Please have him removed. He needs to be removed from my chamber.
I move
You're out of order.
I move that council override the chair's position. I move that council override the chair's position.
I second that.
Madam City Attorney, will you address the motion?
What is before, thank you, Mayor. What is before council today is an objection to chair's removal. And so it requires a vote and a decision made from there.
Madam Clerk, would you call for the vote, please?
Sure. Hold on.
Call to. Just to make it clear, a yes vote is to override the mayor's position.
That's correct. A yes vote would be to override the mayor's decision to remove the councilman from the chamber.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucas-Burke?
No.
Mr. Moody?
No.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mayor Glover?
No. Madam City Attorney, can you address how someone can vote, just for the information for the citizens?
The charter allows the chair to vote as any other member of the council, and so he is able to vote in this matter.
No, we're not talking about the chair. We're talking about the person that brought the motion.
Oh, the person who brought the motion, one moment, let me just double check.
We need order in the chamber.
Give me a moment. Just give me a moment to consult with myself.
Yes, ma'am, you have a moment.
Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, ma'am, you may respond.
Procedurally, all members are allowed to vote on this matter. So the councilman is allowed to vote in this matter.
Thank you. And so, just one other question I have. We do not have any, we had a motion, we took the vote, everyone voted on it. I need you to verify, because right now I'm going to call for an adjournment of the meeting. And since we don't have a motion on the floor, it is my understanding that the mayor can adjourn the meeting.
Point of order.
Sir, you're not recognized for a point of order. You're out of order. You're not recognized for a point of order.
Point of order.
I don't have to recognize, the chair doesn't have to recognize a point of order.
You can't adjourn a meeting, but agenda items still on. You can't adjourn.
Thank you, Mayor. A point of order is a motion of privilege. The chair has to rule on that motion before I can rule on this other motion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, you have the floor.
Point of order to our city attorney. A motion to adjourn cannot stand when there are still items on the agenda unless council agrees to that.
Thank you, council. A motion to adjourn is also a privilege motion to which there requires a motion and a second by a majority of the members. Because there is no motion on the floor and the agenda has not been adopted, unless there are other matters, a motion on the floor, this chair can adjourn the meeting.
And so,
Meeting adjourned.
point of order. No.
There's still, I'm sorry, there still needs to be a motion and a second. Vote, please.
There has to be a vote. There has to be a vote.
There has to be a vote.
I know it, boss. Let's go. Let's vote, guys. Let's vote.
There
Let's
has to be a
vote.
vote.
We have a motion and a second,
Second.
and we have a vote.
Should call the roll. Would you call the roll? Has to be a roll call.
Right. Mayor,
We need order in the chamber. May we have order in the chamber? Madam, may we have order in the chamber, please? Madam City Attorney.
I want to be clear about this. Because there are still agenda items on because there are items on the agenda, there must be a vote before this matter can be adjourned. If there were no more agenda items, then the chair's conclusion by adjournment would terminate the meeting. So there needs to be a majority, there needs to be a majority vote. So we need a roll call.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
So just to make clear, the motion is not to adjourn.
No, the motion,
The motion-
go ahead, ma'am.
Councilman, the motion is to adjourn.
So a no vote means we stay.
A no vote
Right.
means not adjourning, and a yes vote is to adjourn.
Madam Clerk, we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Barnes?
I want to work with the mayor. Yes.
Mr. Battle? Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lucasberg?
No.
Mr. Moody?
No.
Dr. Whitaker?
Let me make sure we're clear. A no vote means we stay, that we do not adjourn.
The motion is to adjourn. So if you vote yes, you are agreeing to adjourn. If you vote no, you are saying we do not adjourn.
Right. I'm asking my colleagues to reconsider their yes vote and let us.
No, he can't do that. The vote has already been cast.
We can change.
The vote has already been cast. He can't do that. You can't reconsider a vote after it's been done.
Yes means
May I be heard?
no means.
You may be heard.
A motion to reconsider cannot take privilege over a motion that is currently under vote.
Okay. No.
Yes.
Woodard is yes. Okay. I'm Mayor Glover.
I said no.
So you don't want to adjourn? You don't want to adjourn?
I need order in the chamber. I need order in the chamber. I need order in the chamber. Yes. Please, I need order in the chamber. Yes.
You can't change. He just said you can't change your vote.
Yes, the meeting is adjourned.
He broke the door.